A couple weeks ago, I published a video on common mistakes that new authors are making when they're self-publishing their book. But I wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper because that video was just the tip of the iceberg. Today, I wanted to talk about mistakes that you're making as a new author that is specific to some marketing decisions that you may be doing. Some things that you may be doing that you think will help make sales, but are in fact driving readers away. So in case you're worried that you're driving readers away, let's start talking about it. I just wanted to stop in real quickly to tell you about InkersCon 2025, which takes place from June 7th to June 20th, and it is a digital online writing conference. It has Q&A with bestsellers, roundtables, workshops, co-working, networking, and more. I went to it last year, absolutely loved it, took so many notes. It covers everything from writing, marketing, even cover design. There's so much to love about it. Quite literally, there's something for everyone, whether you're a brand new writer who's never published or you're a writer that's published many books. If you want to buy tickets, please use code Mandi25 to get $50 off. That is all, and I hope you guys enjoy the conference as much as I do. Hello everyone, my name is Mandi. I'm an author, the creator of the Book Launch Planner series, and I also create courses on book cover design and book formatting. If you like weekly videos on the business of being an author, then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. You can also join as a member to get behind the scenes access. Now, let me be very clear. This video is not about the best and the worst types of marketing. It also varies on the author and what your specific skill set is. So rather than talking about specific marketing strategies, we're going to be talking about some overarching things that you need to do as an author. Essentially, we are discussing the backbone of marketing your book. And essentially, the backbone of your book is knowing exactly what your book is about and also knowing where it belongs in the world of publishing. And of course, who your reader is. So mistake number one that you are making is that you have crossover genres. The issue with having crossover genres is that your genre of your book isn't clear. And crossover genres is, instead of choosing one very specific genre, you're essentially saying that your book is a bunch of genres. Like it's historical meets fantasy meets dystopian, and having that many crossovers is where things get really muddled. Now you can have a book that has crossover genres, but even with all that said, you have one genre that's a priority over all the other genres. If you think your book fits into 5 different categories, odds are you just don't understand your book's place on the shelf yet. And if you don't understand where your book belongs, then how are readers supposed to understand where your book belongs? Even worse, how are retailers supposed to understand where your book belongs? If retailers don't know how to categorize your book, how are they going to know who to suggest your book to? For example, when we're selling our book on Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, we put in the categories and the keywords. That way Amazon knows exactly what type of book it is. That way if someone's searching for a book on Amazon, they might just suggest your book to that reader if they feel like it's a really good fit. However, if you have your categories and your keywords very muddled, then they aren't going to know who to suggest your book to, so instead they suggest it to no one. Mistake number 2 that you're making is that you're releasing information too soon. When you're planning out the release of a new book, we know that there's a lot of things that are very exciting to announce. Some of those things that you may want to reveal is the title of the book, the actual release date of the book, and of course, the book cover itself. Now, as exciting as all these things are, you don't want to announce these things as soon as you know them. You want to kind of keep it in your back pocket and hold it for when you're ready to announce the information. Now, what constitutes being ready to release information? Well, you're going to want to have a call to action, and it's all about having a marketing strategy. Typically, your call to action will be either to pre-order the book, or if you don't plan on doing a pre-order for the book, you want to have people sign up for your email newsletter. That is because when you announce these things like the release date, the title, even the book blurb, and especially the book cover, these things are super exciting and you want to bank on that excitement. And how do you bank on that excitement? You get people to pre-order the book. And like I said, if you don't have a pre-order, you get people to sign up for your email newsletter, so when the book does release, they get notified. Time and time again, I see excited authors announce information just because they have something to announce, but they don't have a call to action. And that call to action is super important because it's the thing that helps you sell your book. Mistake number 3 is having a vague blurb. Your book blurb needs to entice readers by giving them just enough information that they get interested in it, but not so much information that they don't really feel the need to read the book because you satisfied whatever thing that was interesting them. Have you ever seen a movie trailer that was super flashy, had a lot of action, but then when the trailer ends, you just sit there and you're like, I don't even know what the movie's about? That's what a vague book blurb can be sometimes, where you throw these interesting things at the reader, but you don't give enough context that they don't really care what's happening. You want them to care about what is happening, but you also don't want to give away the ending. So book blurbs are very tricky. It takes a long time to master them, and I highly suggest writing multiple versions of them and maybe even testing them out on multiple people to see what people respond to best. Mistake number 4 is that you have a bad one-sentence pitch. Now, what is a one-sentence pitch? Essentially, it's summing your book up into just one sentence. We have the book blurb. The book blurb gives a decent amount of information, whereas a one-sentence pitch and it's considered an elevator pitch if you've heard about it in other books, where you get into an elevator with someone asks, hey, what's your book about? And you have until their elevator ride ends to tell them about your book. And essentially, that ends up being only 1 or 2 sentences. So you need to be able to master the art of pitching your book in 1 or 2 sentences. Not because I think you'll get stuck in an elevator with someone, but because you need a really good 1 or 2 sentence pitch for social media. That is going to be the bread and butter of marketing, because you can market your book for free on social media. You can market your book very effectively on social media, but only if you learn how to pitch your book really well. And not only can you apply this skill to marketing your book on social media, you can also apply this skill to marketing your book at book signings. So if you have like a table or a booth at a vendor fair and people come up asking what your book is about, obviously you're not going to be able to pitch the whole blurb to them. You want to sum it up in 1 or 2 sentences, and you want to make it interesting enough that they either ask more about it or they just go ahead and buy it right then and there. Sometimes when it comes to writing a really good one-sentence pitch, you need to write 20 versions of it before you find some that work. And sometimes some pitches work better for some people than other people. So I know for my books, I actually have an entire document with like 10 different pitches that I've tried out, and I kind of highlight the ones that work best. I have like 3 different pitches for each of my books, and I use those pitches either on social media, or I also use them for Amazon ads sometimes as well. And that's actually exactly how I tested my pitches out, is I tested them first on Amazon, because on Amazon I could really have a controlled test on the pitches, whereas on social media it could have been the pitch, it could have been the graphics, it could have been a lot of different things that made it successful or not on social media. So that's a fun way to test things out for yourself if you want to. And mistake number 5 is that you are unclear on who your ideal reader is. So for those of you who don't know, an ideal reader is the perfect person to read your book. They are the person that's going to read your book, give it 5 stars, and tell all their friends about it. And why are they the ideal reader? Because whatever tropes or plot twists that are in your book, they're just something that really resonates with the person you wrote your book for. And your ideal reader is a very specific person. It's not a vague idea of a reader, it's a very specific idea of who your reader is. Because let's face it, not everyone is gonna love your book, and that's okay. Not everyone should love your book. For example, I've published 6 different novels at this point, and they're in varying genres. I have fantasy, historical fantasy, psychological thriller, and then my romance books. And let's face it, my ideal reader would be different for every single one of those genres. If someone read my fantasy book, they might not like my romance book, and that's okay. And in fact, I prefer it that way. If I had a book that everyone liked, I would kind of assume that it was kind of a plain book. It meant that the book didn't dive into the genre expectations, that it was just kind of a broad overcasting book. And the way people get obsessed with your book is that you write a book that's very specific to your genre. That way it really fits into the genre, and the readers that love that genre read it and become obsessed with it. Can you have overlapping readers? Yes, but that's why a lot of the times when you see authors that write in multiple genres, they write under different pen names, which is something that took me too long to figure out. Every marketing decision that you make should be based on your ideal reader. So once you know who your ideal reader is, you ask yourself, where are they on social media? What makes them buy a book? Do they get book recommendations from friends? Do they go to the library? All these different things you need to ask yourself about your ideal reader to figure out who they are and where you can find them and how you can pitch your book to them. If you want to learn more about ideal readers, I talk about it a lot more in my book, Book Sales That Multiply. And if you want a worksheet to fill out to really figure out what questions you should be asking yourself, as well as additional worksheets, I recommend checking out my book launch planner. It's all questions you need to ask yourself when it comes to marketing your book. Anyways, that is it for this video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, comment down below, and I'll see you all next week.